iPhone 14 Pro Max versus Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 5. Let's begin with a boot up in 3, 2, go. We're going to do a speed test here today. Now, I've had the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 5 since Monday. I didn't cover it yet because I was debating taking the phone back because the Z Fold 4 is basically the same thing, but I decided to keep it because I did like the way the hinge folds. It's more smooth and the device is just overall a little bit more refined. So I just like faster phones that are more refined, more polished, and this is kind of like a Z Fold 4S to me, if you will, or a plus version of it. It's pretty much a similar phone, so I'm not doing a dedicated review on this device because it's too similar. Now, you see the iPhone did turn on substantially quicker than the Z Fold 5, but keep in mind the Z Fold 5 does load up a little bit more intense software. And sometimes I notice that the One UI will do this like optimization with the apps when it is turning on. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and do a biometrics test. Now, we do have, of course, Face ID. It's been around since the iPhone 10, 2017. Hard to believe. This thing is already 6 years old, this feature on the iPhone. Apple really doesn't change things up a lot. They like to keep things around for basically eternity, as, you know, Face ID is basically the same. Even now, 6 years later. Not that it don't work well, it's very convenient and works well, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it, I guess. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Samsung. Not only implementing a, face unlock, they do have this fingerprint scanner right here that is hardware based. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the face unlock. See if we can get it here. So right there, you've seen I was accidentally touching the fingerprint. You'll see right there, it goes in pretty quick as well. I don't find this phone to unlock as fast as like the OnePlus devices or the Chinese phones have like this really fast unlocking speed. Nothing phone also has faster unlocking on the face than this phone, but neither of those phones are super secure when it comes to this. So the in-display fingerprint sensor, a lot like the ones on the Sony phones, very nice and sometimes very quick. Let's go ahead and take a look. You'll see right here. There is a feature where you could turn this off so it doesn't accidentally get pressed. But look at this. Watch this. Bang, one tap. Bang, one tap. So I'd say the Z Fold is probably the faster unlocking phone simply because you can bypass lock screen. You can bypass looking at it. So it's quicker than the iPhone and more options. Okay, so from the general software perspective, we have iOS 16.6 on the iPhone 14 Pro Max, buttery smooth. Updates have made this phone run a lot better. ProMotion means everyday performance is just slick. It's literally like gliding your finger across some melted butter. It's so smooth. Now, the Samsung with the snappy 8 Gen 2 this year has been snappy. That's why I call it the snappy 8 Gen 2, because you can snap your fingers. That's how fast it is. It's probably faster than the snappy your fingers. But it's been very quick. It's made the phone, especially the Snappy 8 Gen 2, for the Galaxy experience. Yes, it might just be marketing for, Samsung, but actually it's kind of an overclocked CPU, and it just makes it run better than ever. For real, you got to get a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 Samsung and see what I'm talking about to experience the business. Now, not only on the inner display, but on the outer cover display, it's also just as quick and snappy. However, you're going to be spending most of your time inside here on the Z Fold 5, and I got to tell you, this is why I was excited to try this, mainly because I wanted to see if this can perform like the S23 Ultra, and it definitely does. It's been pretty amazing. So One UI 5.1.1 on the right. All right, so we've arrived at the app portion of this speed test. Let's begin with calendar, and you could see it looked a little faster for the iPhone. We'll head up out of there. We'll go into calculator. Pretty much the same. We'll go into clock. Pretty much the same. Let's go down here to stopwatch. How about the timer? And we'll go to world clock. So you got essentially the same performance there. We'll go into weather. Faster on the Samsung. That's nice because it's even loading up a bigger screen with a little bit more, well, not really much more content. The iPhone just vertically scrolling it down, whereas you have a little bit more space here horizontally. Let's go ahead and get up out of here, and we're going to go into Instagram, and you could see it looked like the Z Fold 5 might have had that. Let's go over here to, it's going to be a little different because they've optimized this to go over to the side. So we'll go to my profile page. You'll see faster here, Which one was it? I didn't see that one. Let's go over here to the latest post. I just posted. I think the SE, the original SE was the best iPhone ever made, like ever, in terms of size in the hand. It was awesome at the time, fast. Do you agree that the SE, the original one, was one of the best iPhones ever made? Let's go into Twitter or X. I'm still calling it Twitter until I get used to calling it X. You can see over there on the right, that was the Z Fold 5. We'll hit profile. And you'll see that even though the Z Fold 5 has a bigger screen, look at the iPhone is showing more content on display. Now I could get rid of this taskbar. Doesn't really make a difference. So you can see not everything is always a pro to having a foldable design. Now if we turn this thing over here into the landscape mode, you could see even less content shows. So I'm sure I can do some scaling options and developer options to try to improve that. But you can see right here that there are still benefits to having a regular slab style phone. Set up out of there. We'll go into Groupon. And you'll see Groupon first on the Samsung S. Did I just call it an S? The Z Fold. Let's go over here to things to do. And you'll see faster for the Z Fold 5. And I don't know what's going on with Apple over there. That's taking a little while. You can see over here, Z Fold 5 was way ahead already. I mean, that was so much slower. Let's do another category. That was so much slower on the iPhone. It might have been like, could have already like ordered whatever you was going to do. So yeah, that was a little, I don't know what that was. Because the iPhone definitely loaded this one a lot better. Let's do one more. Now doing it again. So yeah, the Z Fold 5's Groupon app is definitely faster. We'll go into App Store, Play Store. And you'll see faster for the Z Fold 5 once again. I told you, man, these S23s, these Z Folds with these Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 CPUs are just ridiculous fast. Let's go into the Amazon. And you'll see pretty much locked even right there. Let's go ahead and swipe up out of here. And we'll go into Starbucks. Faster on the Z Fold 5 once again. Let me head up out of here. And we'll go over here into the Dead Trigger 2. See how they load up the game. Now gaming, I would much prefer to do it. That's faster on iPhone. I would much prefer to do it on the Z Fold 5 just because you always want a bigger screen with gaming. Let's be real. It could be faster on the iPhone. Who cares? Look at this getting in the way. And look at this. I mean, this is where I want to game. Right here for sure. So if you're into gaming, foldable phones in general are just a much better experience because you have a much larger canvas. But you really got to be somebody who's actually into gaming on your phone. Let's go into Asphalt 9 for that to make a solid difference. And so let's see how they do here on the launch of Asphalt 9. Faster for the Z Fold 5. So I'm not tallying them up, but I think the Z Fold 5 has been getting a little bit more applications to launch quicker. Let me know. What have you been tallying up? Let's go over here to Subway Surfers. I'm going to lock the rotation because this is getting annoying. Let me go ahead and lock that in portrait. We're going to go over here to Subway Surfers. And you'll see, looks like the iPhone. Wait a minute. Was that the Z Fold? That was very close. Here within an app like this, I think the iPhone might be better because like, what do you need this extra space for an app like Subway Surfers? It's kind of more of a vertically designed game. So there's kind of the differences too. You know, you're going to want to pick, you know, the Z Fold if you like to do a lot of horizontal things. And you could see these were not updated. Let me go ahead. Hold on. I'll be back. I got to update this one. We'll do this one again. All right, so you can see we were on the Subway Surfers. Let's go into Temple Run 2 now. Sometimes when I do the updates, I'll hit update all on the iPhone, and it won't show that update until I get into the speed test, and then I'm doing a speed test and it didn't even update. So it's kind of weird. Like sometimes there's a little lag between like the App Store telling you the app needs an update and when it actually arrives. So you can see right here, pretty much the same. Again, for vertically designed games, I don't find the Z Fold 5 a much better experience here because this is the kind of game where you'll want to, you know, use your thumb like this. But overall, you know, for more of like those games where you're like Call of Duty, for example. All right, so let's head into Call of Duty here. And again, like when you're in Call of Duty, this is a game that I'll definitely prefer on the Z Fold, and mostly because more space to see what's going on in the lobby and stuff like that. So I do tend to prefer the Z Fold there. So the iPhone loads this game up quicker than the Z Fold. So maybe in these more intense games, you might have a little bit superior performance still on the Apple A16. But there is something that goes on that people have mentioned. I've noticed it too. The Z Fold and other Samsung devices, they have a little bit better sometimes sustained performance. So once you've been gaming for a while, the iPhone will dim the screen sometimes, and sometimes its performance isn't as good as the initial launch. And when you start getting into that particular game, let's go into 3D Mark, faster on neither, pretty much the same. And we'll do camera in a separate section. But overall, I would say Z Fold 5 has a few applications that can launch faster. Some games open first on the iPhone. It's pretty much a toss-up here, very close. I'm interested to see if the 15 Pro Max or Ultra will actually be quicker than 14 Pro Max and just stomp on these Samsung phones, because these Samsung phones have caught up and they're basically faster in a lot of areas than the iPhone right now. All right, so let's take a look at how the iPhone does holding the applications. It's always been buttery smooth. That's what I really like about it. I kind of miss the older iOS when they had that little dock you could bring up without having to go back home. Let's go into Dead Trigger 2. And this does have 6 gigs of RAM. What's really impressive about this phone right here is that even though you have 6 gigs of RAM, it can literally perform like a 12 gig of RAM Android phone. So if Apple does bring the rumored 8 gigabytes of RAM, we should have even better performance on the next phone. Not that you'll really notice it too much, but now this should actually have no problems whatsoever. The Samsung with its 12 gigs of RAM, it should just hold these applications forever all day. So I don't want to see anything here set. Did Asphalt just reload? Hold on, let me check that on the iPhone. Does it do that on? Okay. It basically does the same. I was about to say, did that do a full reload right there? Nah, it didn't. That was just how Asphalt reopens. Let's go into Amazon, Play Store. We'll go into Groupon. We'll go into Twitter or X. We'll go into Weather. We'll go into Clock, Calculator, Calendar. So it looks like a couple of them. Maybe the calendar was relaunched. I don't know. It's pretty much holds everything. And then when you put this dock right here. Hold on, let's go ahead and go into, when the dock pops up, you can just kind of hop between these very quickly, no problems whatsoever. So it's very quick. It definitely takes advantage of its RAM too. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and launch the cameras in 3, 2, go. And you could see pretty close, 3, 2, go. Take a photo. Let's go ahead and close them out. We'll do this again, 3, 2, go. It's like the iPhone. Nah, they're pretty much the same. So you're not missing a shot on either. Still, the Z Fold has the classic double tap the power button. A lot of Android phones, almost all Android phones have that, but I'm just saying that was kind of a Samsung first kind of feature. Pretty quick on both phones. You're not missing a shot on either of these when it comes to the cameras. All right, guys, so our final Geekbench scores are in, and we have a 2543 for the iPhone versus 1986 on the Samsung with a multi-core score of over 1,000 points better on the iPhone. Now, a lot of people call this the Apple bench because they don't believe in real world practice that matters at all, and I would tend to agree with you if that's how you feel. But let's go ahead and take a look at the Wildlife Extreme. We'll start this and see how they do graphically. We'll see the frame rates and stuff as well. I'll be back when the final results of this test are in. Okay, and the iPhone finishes with a 3361 on the overall score versus 3699 on the Samsung. The Samsung with a higher frame rate of 22.15, scoring better than 87% of all devices, with the iPhone scoring better than 83% of all devices. So we have a win here according to the 3D Mark test for the average frame rate. So gaming, like I said, sustained performance over time. It's probably going to be the Samsung phone here if you want to do the gaming. But I think if you want the faster chip, to say you have a faster chip, it probably is the iPhone. But in reality, the Samsung is the phone that takes advantage. But in reality, the Samsung phone is the one that takes it. But in reality, the Samsung phone is the one that takes advantage of the power. The iPhone is just the fastest standard smartphone out there. So let me know your thoughts. I'm pretty impressed with the Z Fold 5's performance. It's up there with the S23 Ultra. It's basically the same exact performance as the S23 Ultra, which is awesome. So if you're ready for a foldable, now is one of the best times ever when it comes to being polished, fast. The Z Fold 5 is ready to go toe-to-toe with the best smartphones out there. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Nick here. Be sure to be well. I'll catch you all in the very next episode. And if you want to see more comparisons with the Z Fold 5, like maybe to the Pixel Fold, if this video gets 1,000 likes, I will consider doing that comparison over there. I'll catch you on the next one. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.